What's up, guys? World Ravager here with a movie review. I've been always passionate about movies and writing, and so I decided I'd start doing my own and post them here for you guys to see. So let me know if you enjoy, and let's get into it with the first one. On January 7th, 2023, I watched the movie After Ever Happy, starring Josephine Langford and hero Phineas Tiffin. It's about two lovers finding out the truth about themselves and their families, the similarities and differences between them, and involving as people along the way. It takes place right after the last movie ends, where Vance reveals that he's actually Hardin's father, starting with Hardin getting drunk rather than dealing with his problems, burning his mother Trish's house down, and then driving away with Tessa to have car sex to calm themselves down. They eventually return to Vance's hotel, where Tessa stays with Kimberly, Vance's fiancée, while Hardin runs away to his friends. Tessa tracks him down at a party, confronts him, and then leaves there to go back to the United States alone, where she finds Richard, her dad, dead of an overdose. Landon calls Hardin repeatedly, all of which he ignores, until he finally is forced to answer, and after realizing the situation, flies back as well, but is rejected on the spot when he arrives, leaving him to argue about his benefit to Tessa's life with Carol, Tessa's mom, instead. Regardless, they all go to the funeral, and afterwards celebrate Landon and Nora's leave to New York, where Tessa reveals that she's going with them, which frustrates Hardin as he had not yet been foretold beforehand, where he almost punches Landon but is dragged back by Tessa, who says that if he truly loves her, he'll let her leave, and if he follows her, she'll end the relationship for good. The three of them move to New York. Hardin starts going to therapy. Tessa gets a job with Nora at a restaurant, and 5 months later, Hardin surprises them with a visit where he runs into Tessa on purpose after Tessa's been trying to avoid him. She notices that he's changed and gives him the benefit of the doubt, leading to them ending up having sex on the couch on a night when Landon's at Nora's. But in the morning, she finds Hardin's diary turned book about her and confronts him about it, which ends up with her leaving him for good at the end of it. Hardin's book ends up becoming a New York Times bestseller. Landon ends up basically moving in with Nora, which causes Tessa to look toward Robert, Nora's friend, for company. But she ends up visiting a book signing of Hardin's without him knowing, catches a glance between him and a woman next to him, misinterprets it, and leaves before he can see her face definitively. Personally, I went into this movie expecting it to be trash. I'm not a fan of romances or dramas, which is exactly what this is. I watched it regardless, but it wasn't the trash I thought it was going to be. I'll say garbage with some valuables littered around in there at best. Still garbage, but with some good parts, I guess. I have not ever personally read any of the After books, but from my research, it seems that there are some differences naturally. After Richard kills himself, Zed is there to comfort Tessa, but Zed is nowhere to be found in this movie, and I honestly do not even remember who Zed was or anything he did in any of the other movies, even after looking him up. But other than the fact that they split the final book into two movies, everything seems to mostly line up with the book from what I could tell. My personal feelings about the actors and actresses in this movie aside, the acting is garbage, most likely due to bad script writing and hopefully less from the actual acting skill. Hero's role as Hardin just has him acting as a drunk whose only solution to problems that he causes are to punch something or scream, while Josephine's role as Tessa seems to be mostly eye candy and showing off her body. Again, not blaming the actors necessarily, it's probably just the screenwriter and director's faults. Otherwise, the lighting, editing, and special effects seemed fine for a movie of its caliber. The interesting parts of the movie mostly happened after Hardin decides to start going to Alcoholics Anonymous and just gets help in general. It was nice to see Hardin actually trying to fix himself for once in this unnecessarily long series of movies. The concept of him writing all his feelings and everything that happened between him and Tessa down in sort of journal or diary and then turning that into a book was interesting and something I've attempted to do myself coincidentally in the past, but to no avail. The boring parts of the movie, though, trump the interesting parts significantly. Every movie is basically exactly the same at this point. Hardin causes the problem, Tessa tries to fix him, they have sex. Hardin causes more problems, Tessa decides enough is enough and leaves him. Hardin attempts to fix the problem, Tessa accepts him for the way he is, they have sex. Hardin causes another problem, end of movie. Personally, I'm sick of watching this glorification of Stockholm Syndrome. Hardin is unwell, ranging from his alcoholism to his severe anger issues to his incessant need to be in control of everything. And Tessa just seems to be a love-struck idiot who is ruining her own life by following him around everywhere like a lost puppy instead of bettering herself and getting him the help he needs, possibly in a mental institution at this point. I don't really find the story very believable either, as in reality I would expect, or at least hope, that somebody in Tessa's situation would have dumped Hardin after the first movie and left it that way for good. If there is a deeper message in this movie, I don't know what it is. Like, this movie on its own has a good message about Hardin getting better through therapy and channeling his feelings through a positive resource, but the series overall seems to be normalizing abusive relationships to a point. Obviously, they acknowledge the wrongs in an abusive relationship and don't say that it's a good thing or anything, but the fact that Tessa continuously goes back to him over and over again does not send the right message to the viewers in how that kind of thing works in real life necessarily. Objectively, if you're a fan of dramas and romances, then you might like it, but the story is lackluster regardless and probably should only be watched by fans of the book or people that like finishing the series that they started. It's just the stereotypical, aggressive, abusive boyfriend and overly nice girlfriend who thinks that she can fix him. A typical romantic drama movie of not high quality that teaches that toxic behavior is cool and sex fixes everything. If you were a boyfriend watching this with his girlfriend, I'm sorry for your loss, and hopefully she'll realize these movies are all the same and you won't have to watch the next 3 they're somehow able to afford to make. If you like romantic dramas and have nothing better to do with your life, then I guess this movie could temporarily satisfy you. I just wish that moving forward, as they seem not to take the hints that people don't actually like these movies, that they change them for the better for once. Ultimately, I would say as a movie, I guess it was fine. I'll give it a 6.1 out of